How do guys? It's Luke at Luke's APS, and this video is just a massive fail. Really is. Right guys, nothing's gone right this month at all. Nothing's gone right. I've been proper demotivated. I've deleted videos that I've completed by mistake. The room's been an absolute tip. So I've gutted it. I've made it a really nice working place. I've started working on videos. This one is the video that I'm working on to get me in the mood. And I picked the wrong video to get me in the mood because it's my D&D biomes, right? As much as I enjoy it for playing D&D, making them, I don't really enjoy it because they're quite basic. You can't do any texturing as such. You can't really go over top on the actual biome itself because it's going to interrupt with play. It's going to, if you want to put some terrain on it or some tree stumps or tents or stuff like I'm doing in this video, it's going to get in the way. So I made some stupid mistakes because I was just rushing it to get a video done, to try and motivate myself to get through this month that's obviously a bit of a downer. And I thought I was going to just scrap this video, and I thought, no, you know what, let's show you how I fixed the mistakes and why I made the mistakes. And I'm sure other people have done this, and the internet's a very positive place at the moment, and nobody ever shows any mistakes. Nobody ever shows things that they've done wrong. I'm not like that. I try to be as honest as I possibly can. So I thought, you know what, let's upload this video with the mistakes, with the errors, and let's get through it. And then at least you people can see that I am only human. You know, I do make mistakes, especially when it's simple. Simple things become harder because you become complacent. And I'm sure that's what this video will show you. All right, guys. So let's get the camera down. Let's get cracking with this shit show. Love, love, love. If you'd like to see how I made the mould for making this resin biome tile, I will put the link in the top right hand corner. I've just made this out of general purpose resin, which is a polyester, really cheap resin. That's like 5 litres for 20 quid. I'm using a cheap resin because it takes about a pint per tile, and if you're using polyurethane resin to do this, it will cost you quite a bit. Now I'm just base coating it brown. I didn't have any brown resin tint, but you could do that if you were trying to make it a little bit quicker. So first error, I put far too much PVA glue on. I paint this on all over. If this were a gaming table, it wouldn't really matter as such, but for this tile and how it needs to work, there's far too much glue on there. Because what I'm doing is I'm just putting the glue on and then putting my tile grout mix on. So once this is on, the idea was just tap it off and then move on to the next step. Problem is, I put that much glue on, when I tap that off, the glue shifts. It does put a few cracks and everything in the surface of the tile. It doesn't really matter because obviously you do get cracks and everything, and I thought with it been having snow on and everything else, because we're going for a frozen tile, I'll be able to hide the mistakes later. So I wasn't worried at this point that it wasn't perfect. Now onto the terrain while that's drying. Gravelcast sent me a load of pieces for this because perfect for what we want, and I've worked with Gravelcast before. I've had all sorts of stuff and bits and pieces from them. Amazing resin pieces, fair price, and yeah, just perfect for D&D. They're just the right sizes for the grids and everything. I'm not going to be doing a massively good paint job on these. The reason is because it's frozen. We put like a white spray over the entire thing once it's finished. But all we're doing is just putting a leather brown onto the cover of the tent. From that we'll use a darker brown to paint the ropes and just give it an overall just very basic base coat paint job. The reason that we do it like that is when we come in to make them all look frozen and everything else later, is we're more or less putting like an airbrush glaze over the top, as in it's like a mist of spray paint, and it really hides all the terrible paint work. So all you've got to do is just go through, picking out the details,
just making sure that you get most of it. You don't have to be super neat, just paint them as neat and as good as you can. I mean, I even had to put my glasses on because I was really struggling to paint some of them. I'm using a bit of grey on the little rocks that hold in the pegs down on the corners of the tent. And the paint up really nice, and as you can see, a nice little solid resin pieces. Now, mistake number 2, not really a mistake, but I did waste a lot of my wash. I decided to paint a light tone wash all over the tents and the tree stumps and everything like that. I then decided later on that I was just gonna dip wash them anyway, so I'd sat there for what, 10-15 minutes just washing them all, and then I thought, well, why am I doing this? I can just dip them. That's what I'm gonna do. So I stopped washing all the tents and everything, and I just turned to dry brushing straight over the brown base coat that I'd done with the aerosol can on the rocks and everything. And then I thought, oh well, I'll try a new grey that I've not used before. So I got the Army Painter ball bearings, opened it up completely the wrong way, chucked them all over the place. I put the lid on, and then that squirted paint all over me. As you can see, even watching this back's hilarious, as in I'm just remembering the stress, as in I wasn't happy at all. But anyway, I just dry brushed that all over, so we've got the brown, the dark grey, and then the light spaceship grey or whatever it's called, just on there very roughly. Again, we're going to be frosting it, so you lose a lot of the details when you do that. I use a bone colour mixed with a bit of brown to simulate the wood that centres, and I'm very rough with that. As you can see, I'm almost over brushing it on there, and I use that as well just to dry brush very lightly over all the wood, just to simulate a bit of a highlight. And then for dry brushing, just dry brush everything as quickly as possible. Quite harshly dry brush, because when we come to dip everything, it does lose quite a bit of the colour when you dip them. So I'll just grab them with a pair of pliers, I dip them in the quick shade, I pull them out. Now, a lot of people, when you're using quick shade, they attach things to drills and spin them and make a mess, shake them off. Now with quick shade, it takes that long to dry. It takes about 24 hours to dry. So when you dip things like this, you can dip it in, put it on the side, and just let it drain away. Now for miniatures, I wouldn't advise that, but for terrain pieces like this that are quite big and got quite big recesses, it does just run off. If there's any like really bad residual wash, that's because it's a big flat area, for example, you can just give it a dab with a cloth, or use your brush to brush it away. And as you can see there, I'm just dabbing off a bit of the heavy wash that's on there. Once they start to sort of dry, I just move them onto onto a plastic thing like that, and then when they're almost dry, I give them a spray of matte varnish just to get rid of that really nasty shine from the polyurethane. To get that frosted look, we'll just spray them from a good 3-4 foot away, and that just sort of gives it that sort of frosty, very cold, snowy look. It's a tip I learnt off Pezapoo from Dark Ops when I was painting up the MDF terrain right when I started out in the hobby, and I've used it ever since, and it works brilliantly. It's just a matter of spraying away and they'll look frosty as hell. The only bit of this terrain build that went well was painting the Gravelcast stuff, so thank you very much, mates. Right, now I made a wash, again absolutely pointless. I used a bit of the Ronsil wash, Ronsil varnish, sorry, in some water. Added a bit of black ink. The thing is for some reason, I don't know why, the tile had gone very mono in colour. Maybe because there's no ground modulation like I'm used to, because when you're working on terrain tables and stuff, you've got your ground form which more glue sits in, and you've got a really nice uneven textures and loads of different colours from the amount of water. As you can see with that, it's almost like it's just one solid colour. So I add the wash over the top just to give it some colour and depth in areas, and I thought it might accentuate the grid. I was only going to do some patchy snow. So what I decided to do is I get the PVA glue out, once it's dry obviously, and then just put some small patches all over the tile. Now this is when shit really hits the fan and I really stop thinking. I'm using a too small a brush for one. The patches, I'm not stippling anywhere, I'm not feathering it out, I'm not doing all the things I'd normally do. Now this doesn't put my snow in the best light at all. It does work really well when you use it properly. So I sieve this all over just to give it a really nice coat and everything else. What you'd normally do then is let that dry. What were I doing? I was rushing, so I tapped it off and it all folded up and fell off itself. I didn't zoom in and show how crap it looked because I was panicking. And then all I started doing is trying to blend all the nasty, heavy areas with that. So I thought, right, I'll seal it down. And as I'm sealing it down with the yacht varnish, it blows it and cobwebs it, and really, it just destroys it. I thought maybe I can just pull that stuff off and what's sealed underneath will stay there, but it's not going to do because it's still wet. I really wasn't thinking about this at all, to the point where I thought, you know what, let's just press it down, let's press it in, nobody will be able to tell. And then obviously it's sticky from the yacht varnish and it sticks to my hands. Just pointless. So what did I do? I took it downstairs to the bath and I gave it a good wash. And I washed it off, and then I thought, stuff it, we'll get the snow spray, because I'd run out of my snow flock, I completely wasted it all. And I thought I'll snow spray this up. If you want to see me using this snow spray to get really nice frosted effects on static grass and how to seal it and everything else, I'll pop that link in the top right hand corner for you, so you can watch that, because it is quite a handy thing to have, especially around Christmas when they're £1 a tin. Now once that spray's on, I gave it a yacht varnish spray, and then I sprinkled some of this my snow over the darker areas, so you've got like really nice dark patchy light areas, and this is how I'm fixing it. Okay, so once I sprinkled that on, all I did then was lacquer it with the yacht varnish 2 or 3 times, and it was sealed. It's not great, but it still looks pretty reasonable. And again, the Grabblecast stuff makes this what it is. I've got a really crappy snow tile with some awesome terrain on there that's good sizes for any biome grid or dungeon grid or whatever you use, and the Grabblecast stuff made this build work. If it weren't for them, it'd be a right sack of shit. Catch you in a bit.
So guys, what do you think? In the end, it wasn't too bad. It works. It works for what we need it for. And the stuff from Grabblecast, it sets the scene. It's perfect. It's perfect for D&D. All the stuff fit lovely on a square. You know, they're either like a 25mm sort of size up to about a 40mm-ish size, like the cedar block and stuff like that. The cedar stump, sorry, with the little stone on. It just makes a nice little scene, like you've come up to an orc camp, or that's your camp that you've woke up in, or it's perfect. And I love the Grabblecast stuff for that, because if you ain't got time to make something, it's just quick and easy, it's cheap. You just buy it and then away you go. Do you know what I mean? Couple of colours like that, dip wash. And especially with the frozen setting, you just spray it with some white paint and you don't even have to do a great paint job. You just do that and it just washes it all together and it looks great for no effort. And that's what I like about D&D, is you can throw something like that together in an afternoon. And that's all it took me, even with the errors and the mistakes. It still took me an afternoon, but it was an afternoon to go, for Christ's sake, I don't want this to be taking any longer. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think to this video. It is a bit of a all over the place, mood all over and not feeling it. But do you like this sort of honesty? Do you like this sort of, I proper fucked up? Let me know in the comments below. If you do like my videos, guys, if you do like what I do, please check out my shop where I sell scenics, glues, adhesives, whatever you need, should be below. Anything that I use regular that I don't sell, I do have an Amazon affiliates. I have set that up in America, Canada and loads of other places as well. I just need to go through and add a few bits. If it's not on there, it will be there shortly. And if you're in Canada or America, I do have an American distributor now, and he's sorting out that side of the world for me. So check that out. Anybody that just wants to support me but they don't want to do that, I've got t-shirts, I've got cups, mugs and everything on Teespring. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again for the next video. Hopefully in a better mood. Love, love, love.